What happens when you buy a mic before you even have a plan? If you're Logan Lewis, you end up launching a podcast that spans 450 episodes, spinning up multiple shows, and helping other brands tell better stories through your creative agency.
Marketing is storytelling and vice versa. Through marketing campaigns, you're telling your company, your brand story. And I do my best to support small. And the best way I do that is if I know the brand, know who they are as a core, as a family. Who are these people? Marketing is a slow grind, though. You can't just have that success overnight. Every podcaster records an episode and they upload it and they're like, I'm going to be famous now. But unfortunately, it does not work that way coming from someone who's done it for 7 years. So it's a grind.
Today's guest is Logan Lewis. Not only is that one of the best names I've ever heard, but he is also a marketer, podcaster, and the wild mind behind Hammerhead Creations. He knows what it takes to tell a good story, so there's a lot of pressure on him to tell a good one today. But how important storytelling is for your brand, your podcast, your life. So let's dive right into it. Tell us your story, sir.
Wow, that's quite the tall order for me today on this lovely day. But my story is all over the place, but I'll do my best to kind of stay on the path. As you know, podcaster brain is real, and the tangents come up, and you're like, oh, squirrel. See, like we're doing right now. But anyway, so I moved around a lot growing up. My father was in commercial construction, so we would move to a city or a state, and he would supervise this massive job site and project all across the country. And as soon as the project would wrap, his company would pack him up and they'd move us to a new city. And he would rinse and repeat that. We did that about 10 or 11 times growing up. So I switched schools, switched friends, everything every about 2 or 3 years. So I've always been really good with people and just like really honed in on like, it's easy for me to talk to people. I mean, yeah, I'm still like everybody else. I walk into a room with people I don't know and I'm still shy to an extent, but give me like 5-10 minutes and I'll be floating around that room like a butterfly. Like it's a fun ordeal. So with that said, we moved around a lot. So I was never, I'm never a stranger to try new things. And one day a buddy of mine was like, hey, you should listen to this podcast. And this was in like 2016. So like podcasts were not what podcasts are now. So like, he was like, you should listen to this podcast. And I was like, podcast? Like Rush Limbaugh? Like NPR? Like what? And he was like, no, I promise it's not only for old people. Just listen to these guys. It was people from Barstool Sports at the time. And I was like, okay, I guess. So I tuned in and started listening and was hooked immediately. I was like, wow, these guys, amongst other things, they get to shoot the you-know-what and have a good time as part of their job. And I want that. I like that. So I went to Best Buy that day, bought a microphone and started recording. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a show. I didn't have anything set up. Nothing, nada. I just tackled it. And of course, looking back, I wish I kind of would have taken some time to develop some structure. But, I'm the kind of guy that once something gets into my head, I can't stop thinking about that thing until it's done. So it's like, I'm like obsessive, OCD, maybe, probably all of the CDs, OCD, ADHD, all of them. So I started a show that day. For the longest time, Your Morning Drive, my podcast that I run today, I've run the same podcast feed. People who don't know podcasts might not know what that means. I've had the same podcast feed for 7 years, and I've been running that for 7 years, and that's why I'm up to episode 450 or so.
What does podcast feed mean?
So like,
I don't know.
Your podcast channel, like on Apple or Spotify. Like if I go to the growth department on Apple, I'll see all the episodes that you've released.
Okay.
I've kept the same feed for 7 years. Your Morning Drive was not always the look and feel of the podcast. There's been several different names and structures and formats, but I finally pinpointed the thing that I love the most, which goes back to me moving around and meeting new people. And I just have this people passion. So I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to restructure my podcast, I want to do something that I know for a fact that I'll never get tired of. And that's meeting new people and developing relationships and making connections, all of those things. So I reformatted the show, rebranded, changed everything to Your Morning Drive. And I just do what you and I are doing right now. Just learning from each other, learning about each other, and finding out ways that we can help each other grow. I kind of tackle every day from like everything could always be better. Like there's always room for improvement. So I just every single day I take a look at my systems and my ways of doing things and I think, how could I make this better? Better for me, better for the guest, better for everyone listening, everything in between. So I get this idea in my head, Chelsey, and I just kind of go for it and see what happens.
Dude, to listen to a show and be like, that's it. That's what it, that's my calling. That's so crazy in a good way. Good crazy. Once someone called me crazy when I was younger and I went off and I'm
Really?
married to him now. I was like, don't call me crazy.
And you're married to him now.
Yeah.
Nice. So it worked out.
It did. He stopped calling me crazy. Anywho, that is bonkers. Have you ever told the Barstool Sports guys like, "Hey, you've inspired me," or
Yeah. I've reached out to him, as good as anybody that reaching out to, I wouldn't say famous, but somewhat notable people. It's hard to get a response sometime, but I've gotten a couple emails back and, people saying, good for you. Glad that we could start that journey for you. But yeah, so I've made contact with him a couple times, but nothing to get excited about.
you know what we need to bring back is fan mail, like
Ooh.
real hard copy. Have a PO box. So if you're a country star in the Opry, the Grand Old Opry, you get a PO box there, and they sort your fan mail, so you can actually write a country star who's in the Grand Old Opry at the Grand Old Opry. They'll put in their mailbox and they get it. I feel like there's no way to do that with our other famous stars anymore, which is
No, that's a
other than
really good, I
tweet
didn't
them.
even know that. That's really cool to know.
It is very cool. So get those notepads out and start writing some letters. So you now every day are not only running your own podcast, you also have been a guest on how many? It's like an astonishing number of shows.
I've done a lot, Chelsey. I've been trying to grow a lot this year, so I've put myself out there more to be a guest on other people's shows. Plus, then it gives me the opportunity because a lot of the shows that I jump on, they've either done it, less time than me, or some of them even look up to me, which is just humbling and just super, super honorable that people would want to ask me for help. I've just been pushing and pushing. So I've gone out there and been like, yo, I'll be a guest on your show. I'd love to do it because maybe I like talking about myself a little bit. Everybody does to an extent, but yeah, I've been trying to do it a lot. And then additionally, of course, I've been running this same podcast feed for 7 years, but I've also started probably like 10 shows in my lifetime so far. Like in those 7 years, like when I first started and first started doing my podcast, I got obsessed with it. Like I was like, oh my God, if I'm talking about, like, for the longest time, my subject matter was all about movies and TV shows. And I was like, man, if I could talk about movies and TV shows, what else I'm passionate about at the time was like dating. So I started a dating podcast called What Are We? Then I started another podcast that ended up kind of being the groundwork for Your Morning Drive at the time. It was called The Exchange, and it was like an exchange of ideas, exchange of stories, exchange of whatever. And then I've been, executive producer on a handful of them too, helping people start theirs as well. And it's been a lot of fun. I've seen everything. I've spent so much money on equipment over the years, just trying new stuff that I wish I could get it all back. Really could. But yeah, I just go for it.
That's awesome. Some of the episodes, if you listen in the past, folks, I'm asking like, okay, what's growth to you? And it's just like, just do it. Shake yourself. Just go. Just do it. And going out and getting the microphone and getting started and figuring it out along the way instead of like what's my show name gonna be? And you could have spent 7 years freaking thinking about it, and it would have
Let
never
that passion
started.
come out, Chelsey.
Don't call me crazy. So that's awesome. And in addition to the podcast, you also run Hammerhead, which does marketing for other brands. And talk to us about how storytelling is kind of the core of your way of marketing.
I love that question because I think storytelling, a good analogy I use a lot is that AI is, this new thing that everyone's all in on. But AI has been around for a long time. We just never called it AI. Siri has been on the iPhone since the iPhone 4S. That was like 15 years ago. We've had AI for we've had Amazon's you know what, she's right behind me, so I don't want to like trigger her, but had that for decades, not decades, but a long time. So similarly, marketing is storytelling and vice versa. Through marketing campaigns, whether it's on a newspaper or a magazine or a billboard or a podcast or a sponsorship or whatever you're doing, you're telling, or at least I think you should be. Some people don't tackle it from this perspective, but you're telling your company, your brand story. And I'm a guy who loves shopping small. I of course I love chains and chain restaurants and all those things, but I do my best to support small. And the best way I do that is if I know the brand and like know who they are as a core, as a family, like who are these people? And when I make that connection with these businesses and help them elevate their social media, their websites, or whatever, I'm just like, the first question I ask is like, who are you people? Because I see a pizza restaurant. Everyone sees a pizza restaurant, but who are you? Like, what is your bread and butter? And a lot of the times they don't know the answer to that question. And that's where I swing in and help out where I can.
Have you ever done the story branding exercise in that book?
I have a book called The Story Brand. I went through a phase earlier this year where I was reading like crazy, and I have not touched that book in like 2 months. So I plan on finishing the book, but I've never done this challenge per se. What's the challenge?
It's like there's a little workbook that comes with it you can do that here's my story brand. It's a mixture of telling your story as a brand, but also putting the customer as the hero. So you as the brand or Yoda, and your customer is what's his name?
Come on, you can't drop a
Luke.
Star Wars reference
Luke.
and not know what you. Yes, Luke Skywalker.
I just watched one of the new ones.
Uh-huh.
He's not dead, is he?
Yeah, he's dead.
He's dead.
Spoiler alert.
He's dead. I don't know.
He
I watched
never
the new one. There was the girl,
truthfully
there
as
was
as
Ray.
the Force, you can never really be dead. Yeah, I'm a Star Wars guy. I have a Star Wars
Oh,
thing
okay.
like right back there.
So you'll like story brand when you really get into it. You can just imagine all of these characters in there and you'll know who they are. It's
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So if you're going into a brand and saying like, "Who are you?" and they have no idea, where can they start?
That's an excellent question. A good place to start, in my opinion, is asking yourself what you're here for. If you're here for the money, that's fine, because at the end of the day, you got to keep the lights on. You got to keep customers coming in. You've got to keep product off the shelf so that you can pay the light bill and stay open. But the businesses that I've gotten to be lucky to work with all have one thing in common, is that their passion is like mine. It's people. They love their customers. They love what they do. They love making pizza, but they love watching their guests eat the pizza more. And so when we talk about subjects like that, we kind of dive into like, okay, well, if your whole brand is that, yeah, you're a pizza restaurant, but your whole thing is that you love to be there and watch the customer take their first bite, that's what we want to market right there. Because everyone can go on Instagram and say, I'm a pizza restaurant. We're open Monday through Friday, 12 to 7, and we serve this, this, and this. Anyone can do that. But the second you get out there and say, this is who we are, this is what we're passionate about, come see us, that little ding when you open the front door is going to be going off all day.
With AI and so much garbage on the internet, I don't know if anybody listening goes through their Instagram and it's like, "This is how I got 10,000 followers. This is how I did," and it's just like, who's an actual human? I find that when there's a brand that stops and does something that's not cookie cutter or is raw, it's landing better today. No? Yes? Like
Whew, that's
a
a
real like, if you're telling a real story, it's a way to connect and cut through the cookie cutter Canva templates and the cookie cutter value, insert company values.
right. Yeah, I think there's legs to that. I was just listening to a podcast this morning about somebody was interviewing the founder of ChatGPT, of OpenAI, the company that owns ChatGPT. And he asked him a question about like, do you fear a world where what you just said doesn't exist anymore? And the guy, which you listen to these interviews with these tech lords like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or Tim Cook or all these people, and they're just like, nah, the technology is the future, like we love it. The founder of ChatGPT was like, it terrifies me because AI is a great tool, but once AI gets to the point, because it will, because AI is insanely smart, like smarter than I think a lot of people realize it is. Once it gets to the point where it's taking that human piece out of things, that's when we're in trouble. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm a doom and gloom, like iRobot, Will Smith movie, like is going to come to life. Like I don't think that's going to happen, at least in our lifetime. But I mean, it's a real thing. So there's legs to what you've.
How would storytelling be different if you're working with a smaller business or a bigger national brand?
I think there's pros and cons to both. Most of the companies, well, all of the companies that I work with at this very moment are small local businesses. And I think it's harder for small businesses to tell people their story because they're often working on a smaller budget, a smaller scale, a smaller area, smaller customer base, whatever. But at the same time, it's easier because they're so small. They could start local and grow outwards, which is what I'm doing with Your Morning Drive. Is like most of my guests are in Georgia, where I'm at, but we're starting to, we've got a good grasp on Georgia right now. So we're kind of inching our way out. And I think that that would be beneficial to a small business. Now, if we're talking about a monster brand like Coke or Doritos or LinkedIn or Facebook, I mean, they have unlimited budget, it seems. They
Mhm.
have unlimited resources to be able to say, okay, Doritos, we're Stick now. We're changing our name to Stick. And our chips are going to be the same chips. We're just changing our company name to Stick. Well, they have the luxury of being able to just rebrand and then overnight every new bag of Stick that comes out, people are going to be like, that looks like the Doritos bag, but it's Stick. I guess it's Stick now. It's almost like that Starry soda that came out like 2 years ago. They
What
were
is
like, where did 7 Up go? It's this Starry now, but now it's Starry. You don't see 7 Up anymore.
really?
So, yeah, I think it replaced 7 Up. It's either 7 Up or no, you still see Sprite. So it's 7 Up. They replaced or they got rid in quotation marks of of uh, of 7 Up, but it's the same thing just rebranded, at least in
7
my
and just
opinion.
like 7 and 7. What are you drinking? 7 and Starries?
You're not drinking anything. You're just drinking Starries. You're not drinking 7 and nothing. It's just
Huh.
Starry. It's interesting. So I think there's pros and cons to both. I mean, budgets and exposure are on the side of the big corporation, but in my opinion, when you're starting out small and growing from there, because you can't just have that success overnight. I mean, everyone wants it. Of course, like every podcaster records an episode and they upload it and they're like, I'm going to be famous now. But it unfortunately does not work that way coming from someone who's done it for 7 years. So it's a grind. But, you know, to ultimately answer your question, there's pros and cons to both, I think.
I've seen some memes lately that are, who knew that I started a business and now I found out I have to be a content creator? And it's a person that's like, oh no, like
Yep.
I just wanted to make the pizza. The pizza is what I'm passionate about. Why do I also have to do all these things? Why do I have to do it? Does the owner or a founder or the early stage people in a company, did they have to be content creators, like being on the flyers, being on podcasts, and why?
Well, that's a great question. That's the angle that I've tackled a lot of me chasing business is like, listen, there's a lot of marketers or a lot of marketing agencies out there that'll, send you a message and they'll say, "Hey, we'll guarantee you 10,000 this by this day or whatever." I don't do that. Are you going to get results? Yeah. Marketing is a slow grind though. I mean, if you pay someone for 1 month of marketing, you're not going to get a return. It's just
Mm.
not going to happen. It's like working out for a month and then not ever again. You're not going to see anything. So I always tackle it from that perspective of like, listen, you want to make pizza. That's what you want to do. Do that. I'll do the other part. And I'll be a close partner of yours. I'm not just someone you pay to do a service. I'm not like your lawn people. I am your partner in this because I want to know you and your brand inside and out so that I can convey its message appropriately. At the same time, do I think it's important for them to go out and do press or maybe set up a booth at a local festival? Yeah. Little things like that are important, but again, like that's just overall exposure. So, it's hard to quantify a return on your investment when you do stuff like that. Whereas, if you set me up to do your social, then it's like, wow, we grew by 15 followers in April. That's awesome. We grew instead of declined. And as long as we're growing, I don't care. And that's luckily what most of the businesses I work with are like, hey, yeah, it might be like I work with this one business that's a travel agent. And it's really who would have thought it'd be so difficult to run a travel page on Instagram? You'd think that everybody is just liking and commenting on all these travel posts. They're not. It's so hard. And maybe there's a follower or two gained a month. Maybe. And it's difficult, Chelsey. But she's like, at least we gained 2 followers instead of losing two. So
Yeah.
I promised them, listen, you're going to have time to run your business now. You don't need to stress about, oh man, I said on Thursdays I was going to post our specials. Don't worry about that. Let me do that.
So a business owner does need to worry about putting themselves out there in terms of telling the story, but they don't necessarily have to be doing it.
Correct. I think it's
Okay.
a healthy blend of the two.
Okay. Because I already got somebody to help me with the posting because I can create the stuff. I like making graphics, but to actually sit and schedule the posts drives me bonkers. I'll put it in a spreadsheet and then I needed help. I upworked it. I needed help. And I don't like taking pictures of myself and putting so I got help because I don't want to do it. It makes me uncomfortable, but it
Sure.
needs to be done. Okay. And how can an owner convey their story with a third party or a helper like you?
Yeah, I think it's kind of goes back to what I was saying a second ago about how, like, when I work with you, you're not going to just pay me to do a service for you. Like, I want to know who you are. Like, I think having a good relationship with the person that is helping you, not like hey, I give you $200 a month and you go and, you know, cut my lawn. And that's all your relationship is. It's transactional. My relationships are partnership focused. They're relationship focused. Because even if one day Chelsey were to contact me and say, Logan, I think I can take it from here now. I'm good. Great. I'm still going to shop at your store. I'm still going to eat your pizza. I'm still going to listen to your podcast. I just want to take some load off the business owner's plate. And it's a lot of fun.
You'll see another episode come out soon with someone named Tamara, and she basically breaks down what is marketing for early stage founders or for business owners who are just like, and then this is like level 2 of, okay, you need help, but you need a good partner here who's going to tell the story. And how do you see podcasts these days as a way for folks to grow their business?
I think podcasting, if done right, can be executed as it's like a companion to your business. And that's what Hammerhead is with your morning drive. I mean, the podcast at the end of the day, gun to my head, I would choose 10 times out of 10. I would leave the marketing business in the dust and keep the podcast because that's my real love. I love the marketing stuff too, but if I had to choose, it's the podcast. If I had met my wife and she was like, I love you, but you've got to stop that, then I would not be with her. I swear on that.
Does she know?
Oh, yeah. There might be a day where I have to cut back a little, and that's okay. But it was my deal breaker. And some people listening might think that's dramatic, but it's like telling Tom Brady he can never throw a football again. Like, not even on the field, but just casually. Oh, you can't throw that football anymore. You can watch other people play football, but you can never play football again. Even if you're throwing a ball to your son in your front yard, you can never do that again. I would say, oh, screw you. I'm not signing that contract then. I'm not doing this thing then.
Nope. Thanks anyways.
Yep. More different ways to say no. Nada.
So is that ASMR?
What?
Just us go if I go nope, nope, nope.
It would be if you were like,
Just so you guys know, when we first got on before we first record, I was like, what is ASMR? I'm still learning. I'm always growing. None of us are done growing.
hence the name of the show, right? Growth department.
Yeah, bro. Before, like when I saw people go on to podcasts as a way to promote their business or tell their story, either as a personal brand, like, hey, I'm this role, but I want to grow to that role and I need more exposure, or hey, I run this business and I want to get more customers. It's really hard to know where to start and how to get on those shows. Do you have any advice for what shows to look for, where to look for them, or how to get connected with a podcast?
Sure. That's a great question. There's a couple of really good ways. Number one is how we met.
Mm-hmm.
We met on a lovely application who does not pay either of us, to my knowledge. I know they don't pay me. Do they pay you to talk about them?
Not yet, but if we say matchmaker, maybe they will.
Hey, hey, Matchmaker, if you hear this,
Matchmaker.
Chelsey and Logan, growth department, and Your Morning Drive would love to represent Matchmaker. But yeah, the first time I told my wife about it, she was just like, "Are you trying to leave me?" And I was like, no. It's matching you with ideal guests for your show, and then vice versa. You can go out and explore other shows that you would like to be a guest on. So you can almost register on this platform as just a speaker or a guest in general, no matter what your industry is, or you can register as a podcast looking for guests, or both. And I assume that you've done kind of the same thing I have, is like, yeah, your show's on there, but hey, I want to be on other shows too. And so there's a free trial to Matchmaker. You can go and try it out for free, and then you can go and pay X amount of dollars a month to receive higher credits or higher status on that within the app. But that's a way that I've kind of started meeting more people, especially, like, as I said before, I'm trying to expand a little bit out of Georgia and kind of get into some other states. And this has been a really cool way of me meeting people, not necessarily in my local Atlanta metropolitan area. But then the other one is Facebook groups. There's a ton of Facebook groups out there of people that are wanting to be guests, people who want guests. I'm in one right now called like Podcasters of Facebook, and there's like 300,000 people in it. It's humongous. I'll have to send you the link to it later if you want to be in it. But it's a really cool place where people can learn and connect from each other. And hey, I use Riverside and this feature's not working for me. Like, how do I? And someone will respond and help them out. I think there's a lot of real good resources out there that are free, like the Facebook group. Of course, you just need a Facebook account to access it. Matchmaker, free for a while until you pay for the higher tiers. But those are the ways that I've kind of explored. And then just being out and about in the community, going to networking events. Every once in a while, you'll meet another podcaster. And when podcasters see each other at like networking events, it's like, oh, hey. And then immediately my mindset is, that's another podcaster. I want to connect with that person. I want to be friends with that person.
Let's think of some of your clients and try to get them on a podcast in our heads right now. So if you ran a pizza shop and you're going through matchmaker.com or the Facebook groups and you see, hey, we're looking to interview business owners, or hey, we're looking to interview somebody with entrepreneur experience or food experience. If something's not necessarily, hey, we need pizza shop owners, how do you gain the confidence to say, yeah, my story is interesting enough or is a right fit for this audience? How do you gain that confidence?
That's a really good question. I think being confident in what your value is, which is something that I struggled with for a long time. I was like, no one wants to hear me talk about podcasting. I'm just a guy that does it. But being someone who does something, you already have a leg up on someone who is curious about podcasting. Oh, wow, I'll listen to this episode because this guy has been podcasting for 7 years. So really believing what you're saying, it's like it's night and day on after a while, the more you talk about that thing. And yeah, I'm a pizza owner and I've been in business for 2 weeks, but here's already what I've learned. That is something that could be useful for someone else. So yeah, do it.
Just do it. And after a podcast is done, what are some of the, other than having a new pal, what are some of the ways you can use that podcast to grow?
Yeah, a lot of people ask me about this, especially some of the guests that I have that are kind of like speakers, or they give, TED Talks or whatever. Is podcast content is wonderful for marketing. I mean, little clips. We're recording in Riverside right now. Riverside has these clip functionalities that are super sick, make things easy for us as the creator. A lot of my guests are like, can I get the footage? And I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a networking opportunity for you. So I'll give you all the resources you need. So I'd say if there's people out there that are like, oh, I want to figure out a way to like, not just, give an hour of my time and talk about my craft, but like ask the host if you can have the material, because 9 times out of 10, they'll give it to you. My whole shtick is talking to people that have something to promote or a story to tell. Why would I not help them tell that? Some people think that way though.
Yeah. Short little clips you can
Everywhere.
put on everywhere. You can put them in little emails to prospects. You can put them on your website. You can put them on your social media. And unless you're saying something super dated, they probably won't go out of style for a long time. So you can keep using them again and again.
Exactly.
And again. Tell us a little bit about the entrepreneurial ADHD experience that you've joked about having entrepreneurial ADHD.
Yeah, this is a problem. So I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing the thing, I'm yada, 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 I'm doing the thing. And then it's like, I talk to a guest and they're like, yeah, they don't even say it to get me in on the thing, but they're like, yeah, so I sent out a newsletter to my email list. And that right there was like, well, I don't have an email list. I don't have a newsletter. So what did I do last week, Chelsey? I started a newsletter, a monthly newsletter. It's called Hammerhead Monthly. And then additionally, you'll talk to people, they'll talk to you about an idea and you're like, oh, I like that. What can I do to help you? And it's like, no, stop saying yes to things. It's addictive. Again, it's just a dopamine hit of like, yeah, let's grow this thing. Let's do it. And I love that feeling so much, but it puts me in this unfortunate position of, oh my God, I've said yes to way too many things. And now I don't even have time to acknowledge my friends and family. Like it can be an issue, but I try my best to be a little bit more selective on the things that I get involved with. I only really want to get with good people. I mean, sometimes you meet people and you can just tell right off the rip that they're not, I don't want to say not good people, but their intentions are different, And so I do my best to kind of, if I do have this ADHD, I try to channel it towards things that I'm actually passionate about, like helping people grow, helping other podcasters so they don't have to go through 7 years of struggles to get to where I'm at now. I'm just passionate about that. So that is how I try to tackle the ADHD. But it's relevant. I mean, every once in a while, I'm like, I could do a pizza restaurant. I should start an energy drink. I should start my own canned cocktail. I think about these things all the time, Chelsey. All the time. I've got an iPad where I have this notes app and I just scribble shit in there all the time of like potential, like, what if this happened? What if this thing led to that thing and then it produced that thing? Like, it's exhausting, but I love brainstorming so much. See, look at the ADHD just in this answer. I mean,
well, I went all over the place listening to you because my husband will say, can't we just do this without trying to turn it into a business?
Your husband and my wife are cut from the same cloth.
So I have in my weekly checklist that I do of like, okay, did I shower? Did I do like, seriously, did I take care of myself? I hold myself accountable to certain tasks each week. One of them is, did I do something for funsies without trying to turn it into a business?
Like that. Is it like a real checklist that's like on your phone?
I tried a puzzle last week. I have it in a spreadsheet and I share it with my coach every Sunday night.
I like that a lot.
So she knows if I don't do it. Okay, so for ADHD, for this, like, there's something else cool that I could do. There's something else cool that I could try. There are two places that my head went there, and I think it can be both. One would be a lack of boundaries that we're setting, a lack of just like saying no. Another could be this, it's so fun to start things, but like to go through it all, is it more fun to start? And it's like, actually, I don't really, my passion's not there. My passion's with the microphone. I don't really love making pizza.
Yeah, that's a
So it's these
I
two
think two
things.
things can be true at once in this scenario, because I do, you saying that made me realize I do love starting things. I love the initial, let's get a logo for it. Let's get the website set up. Like, I love that phase of starting a company, a brand, a business, whatever. I think it's a ton of fun. And yeah, to your point, I do this thing and I start this thing, and 6 weeks down the line, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Then that should be your sign to stop. Because if you're not in it 100%, the business will fail. The podcast, I am driven and hustling hard at it, and I am not bored. I love it. Every single episode I record, it reminds me why I do it. It it's just fuels this fire within me that I know that I'll never give it up. I mean, or I'll never willingly stop doing it. It would have to be a dramatic life shift where I would have to consider scaling back or not doing it. It's just me.
I'm going down a book rabbit hole now. One of my favorite books that I've read in the last year is The Perfectionist's Guide to Losing
I need
Control.
to read that.
It's awesome because it breaks down that there are different types of perfectionists. One of them is the type that loves to start things, like just dive in and start things, and then is like, "Eh." Another is the type of perfectionist that won't start until everything's perfect. Like we talked about in the beginning, they would have needed a website, they would have needed to be trademarked and all this shit before
Yep.
they started their podcast. They wouldn't just say, it's called
Right.
this and we're going. Uh, Another type is a people pleaser. There are five. I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but the extreme perfectionist is rings true to me. But yeah, there are different types of perfectionists and different ways of saying, not calling it a problem, just being like, oh, this is how I am. And once you know that that's kind of your jam, like, oh, I love starting stuff, then giving yourself permission to be like, I am going to do this thing probably for 3 weeks and put it down. And as long as everyone around me is like, okay with that ride, it's fun for me.
Yeah.
Let it be.
Yeah.
Do you see the ability to try new things and like to have this ADHD entrepreneurial experience being a strength or a challenge?
I think it's a strength and a challenge, because it's fun to be able, it's nice to know that like ideas still come to me, like
Mhm.
I can never be one of those people. And this is my wife, and she knows this, and she's okay with it. Like, she does her main job. She is a teacher. She does that one thing, and she is absolutely positively okay with that. Like, she doesn't sit and brainstorm all day and think about the what ifs. She is so content and happy doing one thing that's why our relationship works, because I get to be that person. She is the
Mhm.
voice of reason. Like, it sounds like your husband is like, can we not do this? Can we just go on a vacation and not start a travel page? Like, can we not just can we go and stay in an Airbnb and not the entire time think that we should have an Airbnb? Like, that is my wife. That sounds like your husband. And I think it's a strength in that, like, what if one of these ideas that comes to me, tomorrow, next week, next year, what if it becomes the next Tesla, the next Apple? We don't know.
Mhm.
But it can be a weakness because it can get distracting and it can pull you away from the thing that you should be traveling down. And that happens a lot. Sometimes I'll get really excited about something and I'll do that thing, and then I'll be like, oh my God, it's Wednesday and I need to release my episode. So I need to go and post it. Like, it'll distract me from the thing that is my driving force. So I think, just like everything, balance is so important, to find the balance of, like, I love thinking about new things, but then I also love growing the thing that I know that I'm good at. My biggest criticism at one point when I first started podcasting, and then I went and started the dating show and the sports show, and I had a bachelorette recap show. I went through this phase during COVID where I was obsessed with The Bachelor and Love Island and Too Hot to Handle and Love is Blind and all those dating shows. So I started a dating podcast, but then I started a Bachelor recap podcast called Binging Batch. Shout out to Laura, my co-host. She's out there somewhere doing something. I don't know. We haven't recorded an episode in years, but I think that my dad at that time was just like, dude, you've got too much. Stop this extra shit and just focus on the one. And at the time I was like, shut up, Dad. But now I'm like, he was right. He had every right to say that because it was true. I was putting 20% in 5 projects instead of putting 80% into one and 20 into another, you know? So I think, of course, just like anything, to answer your question, balance is the answer. It's just finding the right balance for you.
Yeah, and not lashing yourself if you do wander. Just be like, oh, I'm the type of person that gets real excited when something new comes. That's okay.
Absolutely.
Well, we've gone all over the map. We've talked about storytelling and the importance of telling your story so people can understand, who is this brand I'm dealing with? Then we talked about how podcasting can be a great way to amplify your story and tell people your story. And then we went all over the map, which is what we're supposed to do. We're talking about entrepreneurial ADHD. If you wanted somebody to take away something from this lesson, a joke, something else, what would you want someone to walk away feeling after this episode?
I hope that somebody would walk away from this thinking that they absolutely are able to do the thing that they want to do. You just have to put the time and the research and the energy into it. I've always been very passionate about the fact that we're all in control of our own destiny. Sure, there might be higher powers out there that are responsible for little things here and there, but I do think truly that you are in control of your reality. And, you know, whether it's a grind for 10 years before you can even consider quitting your job to pursue it full time, you still have every ability to go out there and get the damn thing. So honestly, get up and do it. I don't want to be Shia LaBeouf right now, but just do it. You know, just try it. Because then in 30 years, you can look back and say, at least I tried it. It didn't work, but I tried it. That's what I want you to walk away with. If you're thinking on a thing, hey, listener, the person that's listening to this right now, if you're thinking about doing something, take this as your sign. Just do it.
All right. Well, storytelling isn't just content. It's connecting us. It's also helping us with the content to grow our business, but it is a great way to connect. I'm glad that we got to connect today, and I look forward to future connections, kind sir.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And yeah, I look forward to the same.
Awesome. I'll put all of his links below so you guys can connect with Logan and his team
Lovely.
as well.